Heyo, Black Man here. I look so gangster right now, and it's kind of awesome. I'm rocking the Snot Rocket Inc. hat because it was appropriate and it was there. It's weird. I'm not used to the flat bill stuff, like hats. I always like roll my hats, but for some reason this one seems appropriate. Anyhow, Plaid Man here. I'm doing two today because I need to catch up. So I plowed through. I did a video, a real quick one on Deadpool and Wolverine, and now I'm doing another video right now on Black Mirror episode 3 from season 1, which is called The History of You. There's lots to say about this. This one arguably was more profound than the other two, if you were keeping track and if you're watching. To me, it hit deep, because I'm a man. For one, I'm in a relationship. I'm married to a woman. We don't have a kid yet, but we are trying. I don't have any of the real issues that this person had in this, and I don't live in that world. But this show, this episode was a really interesting explanation of what the potential future, especially for the affluent, is. And I also like it because they really gloss over the value of the thing. So effectively, the short version of it is, I don't want to spoil anything, I don't want to give away. I think the point of these videos is to entice you, to suggest that you watch it. It's not necessarily a conversation of like, hey, then this and this and this and all the nitty gritty detail. It's really to entice you to watch it yourself. While the show has been around for quite some time, and I should give you spoilers, I don't really. Let's put it this way. It's not spoiler free. I'm just not going to go out of my way to explain every nitty gritty thing, because I feel like whatever I tell you really doesn't matter. What I want is for you to watch it yourself. If you watch it for yourself and you glean what you will from it, that's what I want. Effectively, you have this guy who's a lawyer working at a firm in Britain. Doesn't really matter where it is. They just have British accents. And he isn't going to get the job. They want to do this new thing, Findangle thing, and he's not kind of ethically, morally okay with it. So he's probably not going to get the promotion, and he's going to have to leave the firm. Whatever. Bad news bears for him. He hurries home. It's not really evident what he's doing, but he is clearly hurrying. And he gets on a plane or a train or whatever, and he lickety splits, and then he shows up at this nice house. And that's, before we even get in the house, in the process of him traveling, he rewinds the interview process, the conversation that he had with the interviewers. And it's so fascinating because he can play it back as if he actually was recording all this stuff. And you as the viewer, you're like, wait, what is this? And it's so interesting. And then he plays it, so he's playing it back while he's in the taxi cab, this conversation, and he kind of comes to the conclusion I probably don't have this. Then he arrives at his destination, and it's a kind of a posh house party with a bunch of middle-aged, young to middle-aged, mid-30s, late 30s, early 40s, whatever. Affluent people having dinner and whatever. And how they talk about it, and you get introduced to this thing really kind of subliminally of, hey, we all have this device in our ear, underneath our ear, that records everything, the audio and the video of what we're experiencing. And I think, even in the taxi, there's an advert for it, which is really slick if you ask me. And I think it's fascinating because it's okay, so that's our subliminal, we're being educated as to what this thing is. I do think it's kind of funny Because if you're advertising for somebody who already has the thing, that's bad advertising. And you'd think in the future they would be able to discern that that person has it and not advertise to him. But that's kind of neither here nor there. We need to have explaining as to this world, and we only have an hour to do it. Anyways, that being said, he arrives, kind of a surprise. His wife's there, and she's talking to some other guy. And from an exterior standpoint, it seems kind of a little weird, but not super weird. And the night progresses, and effectively what happens is a bunch of like references to, hey, you have this posh get together. Everyone has the little thing under their lobe that records everything, and they're all either working in some industry that promotes that or whatever. They're all just used to it. It's normal. And there's one chick who had it, but then she had hers like cut out, like she was assaulted and had hers cut out or something like that. So, and she's like, yeah, well, I don't want to have it anymore. And there's no real explanation behind it. And then you kind of go on this road where the guy, he feels like he's already kind of on the edge because of the bad interview. But he kind of goes on the edge. He's socially very like polite. And then you can see him like start to teeter and then go. And then it leads into this whole thing, and it's a really revolutionary experience. Aside from all that, watch the show, watch the episode. But what I felt was interesting and super poignant was this episode is talking about what is a very real future thing. It's very easy to be like, well, we don't have that, so we don't need to worry about that. It's like, no, we have like the 1.5 version of that. That if that's a 10, we're at 1.5. And because of that, you need to be concerned. And it's a similar thing I would say with like AI. Listen to a whole thing with Tucker Carlson about AI. I thought it was fascinating. Anyways, but you get this idea where people are like, oh, but it's not now. Like, we don't have to worry about it. And it's like, no, just because it's not right now, it is going to be in the future. Like 1984 was written in like the 1950s or earlier. And we are currently dealing with it now. So it was 40 years early, like the prediction was 40 years early. Or maybe it was totally on point that the onset was what led to now. I don't know. Not what I'm referring to. Back to the show. But what was upsetting to me, or interesting, or I don't quite know, is effectively what this bead does is it records everything. And while that can be tremendously useful in 1.5 million ways, it can also be used and abused. And or it's also a history of your deeds and misdeeds. And it effectively takes away the concept of private. Like, there's no private anymore. Because if you have this chip in your ear or under your ear or whatever in your head that's recording everything, there's no private anything at all. Like, you have no privacy, you have no right to speech, because you're totally subject to whoever's recording that data. And there was this profound moment where, not profound, it was profound to me. It was a nothing moment in the show. It was profound to me, where our main character goes and he's just doing, like, you know, in America, TSA, you go through since 9/11. But before that, we didn't really have this. But it's basically a security check. Like, hey, I'm getting on a plane, I'm going here. And they're like, okay, play your last 24 hours. And then play your last week. And then fast forward it. And we'll basically screenshot all the people that you saw in that time frame and cross-reference and make sure none of them are criminals. And it sounds super safe and super awesome and super amazing. Like, even as I watched it, I was like, oh, that would be super convenient for this, and this. Like, I can understand how a government even a positive, like just think about it nicely, a really nice government, how they're like, if we do this, then we can better protect our people. But in actual fact, all I could think with is like, oh, good, we're just giving them all this data that they probably could have got some other place, and then they can cross-reference it using AI technology or other things, and then they can be like, cool, we'll do this. This person said something we didn't like, whatever. And it upset me. It was frustrating. I didn't like it, and I think it should worry you. I think this episode should worry you a lot, and it's very sad. It's really good because, interestingly enough, aside from all the technology, what it's about is the struggle of a relationship and the difficulty and the importance of staying in present time and there with your loved one and being there with them and not taking for granted all the trappings and the nicety of the life. And just for men, being present and trying to open up to your woman. And for women, being patient and allowing your man the free space to communicate how he feels. And furthermore, again, when technology gets in the way, like that's kind of an over, like in a way it was in the way, but it also propelled the story. So it's kind of both and neither. It's wonderful. It's all the episodes in this are really good, which is why I like the Black Mirror series. And like most TV shows, it has some dull points. Season 5. But we're going to go through it. We're going to go through it all. I will get to Wheel of Time Season 2. Sorry. But anyways, that's it for now. So Plaidman out. That's Black Mirror Season 3. Or sorry, gosh dang it. Black Mirror Season 1, Episode 3. Plaidman out. Love you all. Bye.